here with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, if you hear some funny noises today, that's because the lawn guys are here doing the North 40. And I just wanted to jump online real quick and do a topic because even though it's the non-busy season, I got all these ideas and topics in my head that just need to come out. So while we're not going to be doing daily videos like we were for a while, we are still going to be doing a 3-day schedule, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, maybe a couple weekend videos, only because of the fact that even with the coronavirus, there's just too much crap going on. So let's get into this for a minute, for a topic today. I was thinking about it. Joe Judge's rookie season. It's going to be interesting. And there have been some rookie seasons with the New York Giants head coaches that have just gone horribly wrong. And the first one that comes to my mind is the 1983 season with Bill Parcells, rookie head coach at the helm. Now listen, there have been plenty of bad seasons for the Giants. But honestly, I think the 1983 3-12-1 season was, in my mind, the worst. May not have been statistically the worst, but it was just the worst in general, some certain things, and we're going to go over that. And then we're also going to go over how Joe Judge can avoid what I'm going to refer to as the Parcells rookie trap. The issues that Parcells fell into that caused the demise of the 1983 season. Now, before we get into 83, let's go back into 82. 82 was a strike-shortened year. We finished one game under 500. Ray Perkins then turned around and took the job over at Alabama to succeed Bear Bryant. And the Giants tapped a young, pretty much unknown defensive coordinator named, drum roll, Bill Parcells, to take over the team. Now, like any other team, the Giants had some minor success going back into 81 where they made the playoffs, which was the first time in, the longest time ever. And so they had a lot of hope going into 82. They were playing well, then the strike hit, and then, like I said, they kind of fell apart. So the 83 season was supposed to be a continuation of Ray Perkins and the 81 season. And it's funny, though, because if you look at the roster of the New York Giants and what they drafted and who was on that team, you kind of think to yourself, well, they had some players. I mean, offense was still pretty bad, except they still had Sims and Bruner. They had Butch Wolfolk, who came off a good rookie campaign, but kind of wheels fell off the bus in 83, even though he had an okay season. They still had a young Zeke Mowat. They had Brad Benson and Billiard on the line, which were going to be staples in the Super Bowl run. The defense was still stacked. You had Jerome Salley, Brad Van Pelt, Harry Carson. Brian Kelly, Lawrence Taylor. You still had the All-Pro and Mark Haynes, Terry Jackson, who was underrated, Bill Curry, another player that was underrated, and of course the rookie Terry Kennard, who was going to turn out to be another key contributor to the 86 Super Bowl run. So there was talent on the roster. And the biggest problem that they ran into was they had a quarterback controversy. And the quarterback controversy, of course, was Scott Bruner had filled in numerous times for the injured Phil Simms. Scott Bruner led the 81 Giants allegedly to the playoffs. So we did a video about how he really didn't do that. But like I said, he led the team into the playoffs in their first playoff win in centuries. Not centuries, but I just say that. So they had a battle in camp between Simms, Bruner, and Jeff Rutledge. And basically what happened was Bruner, and I don't even think Bruner outplayed Simms, but Bruner became the starting quarterback. And I think what the issue was, a young Bill Parcells, I think he listened too much to his staff, to upper management. And I find it interesting that, he kind of, when he selected Bruner, I think it was more of a shock than anything else. And even Simms requested a trade at one point during the season. But you know what? I think he just kind of fell off the idea of, not thinking for himself, doing a groupthink thing and selecting Scott Bruner. Now, the onside of the season, we started out 2-2, and we looked pretty good. But then we went on a 3-game losing streak, which left us at 2-5. And then we had a game against the Eagles. Or I should say we had the game against the Eagles where finally, I think Parcells had a light go over his head. and finally said, "Oh, crapola, let's let's put Sims in because this Bruner experiment's not working out." And of course, what happened was he came into the Eagle game, and I think he threw like maybe 7 passes. Sims did, and then he smashed his hand on the helmet of a player, and basically shattered. He shattered the bones in his hands. So, I mean, it was like, dude, man, 6th game of the season, I shatter my hand. I'm trying to get in, and I shatter my hand, which I also think was very interesting. Like I said, that was the Sims bad luck. And then after that happened, and again, that was in week 6, the wheels just completely fell off the bus. I mean, we lost to Kansas City by like 21. We tied St. Louis. We lost to Dallas. We lost to Detroit. We lost to Washington. We somehow won the Eagle game in Philadelphia 23-0. And then we rattled off 4 straight losses to the Rams, to the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Redskins again. So Bill in his rookie season finished out 3-12-1. And I laughed, though, because like I said, we were talking about the roster. And it's one of the other things I forgot to mention. There were so many people on that team that were on the 86 team, that would end up on the 86 team. I was going through the defense again. You had Andy Hedden, Byron Hunt, Robbie Jones, Carl Nelson, that was his rookie year. Same with Perry Williams. So I mean, there was more defensive talent. You had Jim Burt on that team. You had the rookie season of Leonard Marshall. You still had George Martin. So we had more than enough, ample enough players on defense to make a stand. It's just our offense was terrible. Butch Woolfolk ran for like 857 yards. But if anyone remembers Butch Woolfolk, he was 2 yards in a cloud of dust. He should have been moved out to the wide receiver position. He should never have been a running back. He had a game in Dallas where he ran the ball then record 43 times for like 154 yards. I mean, it was disgusting, ridiculous, and that's why we got rid of him 2 years later. Because then we went with Joe Morris, because he just wasn't fit to be an every down running back. I mean, he had a good season or two in the Houston Oilers where he had 80-some receptions, but he just wasn't the player. So I think the issue was, and even Bill Parcells came back and said it, when George Young and them and Wellington Merritt were sitting down, they were basically like, listen, what are we going to do with Parcells? 3-12-1, are we going to fire his ass or are we going to keep him? And luckily, Bill survived the purge. But one of the things that Bill even said going into the 84 season was that he listened to too many people. And that if he was going to have another season, he was going to do it his way. He was going to take the 84 season and do what he wants to do. And if he was going to get fired, he was going to get fired doing it his way. Which I think is exactly the way to go. Now, I am not saying that Joe Judge is going to listen to everyone. I'm not saying Joe Judge is not going to make up his own mind. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is Joe, I think, has to pull a Parcells and say, listen, this is my shot to basically be the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And I'm tired of hearing about the Patriot crap. Let's get over that, because you know what? The Patriot crap is over. You are a Giant head coach. And he's not the one saying it. It's everyone on the press and YouTube and the newspaper. He's a Giant head coach now. We're not doing things the Patriot way. We're doing things the Giant way. But he needs to sit down, Joe Judge, in my mind, look at himself and say, I need to do things the Joe Judge way. I am not going to listen. I'm going to take into consideration what other people say to me, but I am going to need to make the decisions. The reason I even bring this up or even worry about this is he has hired a staff that has quite a large amount of head coaching experience in either college or the pros. Now, the problem is it's not a lot of successful head coaching experience. So I'm worried that he's going to get into these meeting rooms and he's going to be inundated with all these people that have more experience with him at the head coaching level that are going to try to tell him things, and he's going to rely more on them and then rely on his own instincts. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is I think that he needs to avoid the Parcell rookie trap, and he just needs to say, okay, I am the head coach of the Giants. I am going to do things my way. If I get fired, I get fired. But at least I went out my way, and I'm going to have the team in my image and in my shape. And I only get worried, though, because I sometimes get concerned with Tisch and Mara and Gettleman how much control he actually has over the team. And so I hope he realizes that, yes, they may all be above him, and they may be the owner, and they may be the general manager, but at the end of the day, they're not going to fire you for doing whatever you want to do. No coach in history is ever going to get fired because he says, you know what, I'm not going to do what the owner says. And I mean, in reference to his rookie season. That's not going to happen. You know, you could pull a McAdoo and get fired because you don't do what the owner says because of the fact that you're Bob McAdoo, or Ben McAdoo. I keep calling him Bob McAdoo. You're Ben McAdoo, and you kind of sucked anyways, and you kind of lost the team. That's why you got fired. So he needs to just kind of figure out and say, listen, I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to do what I need to do that's going to make this team successful. And again, I'm not saying don't take into consideration what your staff is saying, but like Parcells says, I'm listening to too many people. I made too many bad decisions because I listened to too many other people, and instead I am going to go with my gut. And what happened when Parcells went with his gut? We go 9-7. We advance to the divisional round after we beat the Rams in the wild card game in Anaheim. You know, we had 3 Pro Bowlers, and it also didn't hurt that we drafted Carl Banks, William Roberts, and Hostetler and Gary Reasons that year. But again, if you look at the team, you know, plus, you know, it also, a lot of people don't forget the USFL players. You know, we had Chris Godfrey come in, you know, I mean, so we also had an infusion of talent. And, you know, even later down the road, we'd have Bart Oates come in. So, I mean, it was an infusion of talent, but it was also the fact that he basically said, Parcells, screw it. I'm doing things my way. If I get fired, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory. And you know what? That's going to be the end of that. And that's what I'm saying. I hope Judge does not fall into the Parcells trap, the Parcells rookie season trap, and say, oh, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, he needs you to sit there and say, you know what? I'm doing it my way. Let the chips fall where they may. I'm at least going to have 2 years, but at least in year 1, let me go out doing it the way I want to do it. And that's what I hope, and that's what I hope to see. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. If you could, ring the bell, like, leave a comment, pay the guy outside who's cutting my grass, bring in the mail, walk the dog. That would be awesome.